Good morning. Today's reading is from Matthew 25, but it's the King James Version, so you won't see it in your Bible. I'll be reading, and you can listen. You can read the version in our Bible at some point and see the comparisons. So it's the parable of the 10 virgins. Then shall the kingdom of heaven be likened unto 10 virgins, which took their lamps and went forth to meet the bridegroom. And 5 of them were wise, and 5 were foolish. They that were foolish took their lamps and took no oil with them. But the wise took the oil in their vessels and with their lamps. While the bridegroom tarried, they all slumbered and slept. And at midnight there was a cry made, Behold, the bridegroom cometh, go ye out to meet him. Then all those virgins arose and trimmed their lamps. And the foolish said unto the wise, Give us of your oil, for our lamps are gone out. But the wise answered, saying, Not so, lest there be not enough for us and you. But go ye rather to them that sell, and buy for yourselves. And while they went to buy, the bridegroom came. And they were ready and went with him into the marriage. And the door was shut. Afterward came the other virgins, saying, Lord, Lord, open up to us. But he answered and said, Verily, I say unto you, I know you not. Watch therefore, for ye know neither the day nor the hour wherein the Son of Man cometh. Amen.
One of the fun things about being able to live and be pastor of churches all across this country, north, south, east, and west, is to see some of the oddities that go on between regions and sports and athletics. Religious people can be very competitive. And I'm especially talking about the border wars that go on. And when we were in Indiana, the people in Kentucky thought they were superior to the Indiana people because they called the area Kentuckiana. He made up a word for it, but I called it Indiucky. The Indianans liked it. But the Georgia people think they're superior to Tennessee, and Maryland people think they're superior to Virginia. And I heard this story about what went on at one convention involving competition. They'd have these preach-offs, and each side believed they were better than the other at Bible reading. I recall one year, out of politeness, the Maryland convention invited a blue blood with Virginia on his mind to read the lesson of the day. He wasn't the brightest light in the Old Dominion, but he relished his role. So he picked this text and licked his fingers and rocked back on his heels and commenced to read the best he could to show those lesser Marylanders who's smart. And he just knew he had been assigned the best text to prove it. Matthew 25, 1 through 13. Except he forgot his glasses, and somebody had to turn the Bible right side up. He started reading it upside down. And he started off well enough. Then shall the kingdom of heaven be likened unto 10 Virginians. Boy, that text was tailor-made for him. He had them right where he wanted them, 10 Virginians. He had to have some help with the next part, you know. And these Virginians took their lamps and went forth to meet the bridegroom, and he got help through that. Then he got lucky and rattled off 9 monosyllables. 5 of them were wise, he smirked. And 5 of them were, somebody get me one of them modern Bibles. These people can't be Virginians. I wanted to tickle your funny bones this morning to prepare you for the rest of the text. Because if you like stories with happy endings, you better skip this one. Jesus' parable of the wise and foolish virgins ends with the sound of a door slamming in somebody's face. But it does show that our modern obsession of not having enough oil has been around for centuries. Jesus ends with a disquieting judgment on the foolish. He didn't know them. And then he summed it up with a moral that is rare for Jesus. Listen up, he said, for you know neither the day nor the hour. It's like a warning. 10 ladies dressed to the nines waiting in the arrival of the groom, which is a metaphor for Jesus. He didn't chide them for going to sleep, but for failing to prepare for the delay. No wedding ever goes as planned. So they panicked and they searched for more oil, but found none. And they blew this because of a sin that we don't really think of as a sin, but it's a big one. The sin of unawareness. For not knowing what they should have known. Like, Father, forgive them, for they know not what they do. Well, we see what that did. They should have known. Matthew's church was growing weary of waiting on the Messiah. The days closest to Easter and the Ascension were a time of eager expectation. Maybe it's now that he will return, so they asked him, will you at this time restore your kingdom? The context of his church was apocalyptic, when the church was facing persecution, so they were longing for change that would come with the return of the Messiah. But the years piled up one after another, and the bridegroom didn't show up, so the church dozed off. Remember when I was a kid, there was a song about this. Give me oil in my lamp, keep me burning. You know that one? Give me oil in my lamp, I pray. It comes right out of Matthew 25. Do that again. Till the break of day. See, that was the song we learned. The break of day. You have lamps that'll go till the break of day, but there's no lamp that'll hold enough oil to make it to the end of the age. The flame flickers, and our friends are dying. Did anybody bring extra oil? How long can people wait? Because we're still waiting. Matter of fact, only now we measure it in terms of millenniums, not centuries. It's been a long time. I doubt few of us gives a second thought to the second coming or the world coming to an end. Those on the fringes are preoccupied with their predictions, predicting the return of Christ, the date setters, and all that. But being wrong hadn't stopped them yet. Like the man said, nobody knows. Get that? Not even Jesus. And if he doesn't, what about the rest of us? Maybe it's not important that we know. If you base your reason for being on Armageddon, it might take a while. Meanwhile, we're left with the mean time, and it's getting meaner every day, which makes it even more critical that we, wait for it, bring extra oil. That's the thrust of this text. The first gospel makes it clear that grace is not a perpetually open door. We like to think it is. We like to think that grace, the door to grace, is always open, so it's never too late for anybody, especially us. Like the thief on the cross. You see, he got in by the skin of his teeth. But the Matthean vocabulary includes the word no. And that's the only way it can be in a consequential world. For without no, yes doesn't mean anything. Sometimes you know it and I know it. It's too late. The older I get, the more I try not to concern myself with things that I can't do anything about. It's hard, but I'm learning to stop spending quality time on issues that are beyond my control. All any of us can do is manage ourselves. And we try to keep managing others, which you can't do. But we keep trying. And this story is about self-management. 5 managed themselves pretty well, and 5 blew it. And so it passed them by, the opportunity before them. On the other hand, these 5 who managed themselves well because they were thinking ahead, and they wisely took time to prepare and brought extra oil in case there was a delay. There are always delays. Now, if I could just tell the future, this text wouldn't have anything to do with me. But I've never been able to do that. I don't know that I would want to. But I know, looking back, that I'd do a lot of things differently if I could tell the future. And then, too, there are some things that can't be borrowed, you know. It would have been nice if the extra oil gals had loaned these sleepy slackers some of their oil. It would have been nice. But then they wouldn't have had any, you see. Some things can't be loaned. How can you loan somebody else your character? That has to come from them, not from another. How can you loan somebody your wife? Or your motorbike? Which is worse? Or your ability to shoot free throws? You think that's easy? Some things can't be loaned. No matter how bad your mama wants it for you, it's agonizing to want something for somebody more than they want it, even though it's good for them. Anybody who's raised teenagers knows that. Jesus wept over Jerusalem because he said, I would gather you in like a mother hen does her chicks. But you would not. And as long as they would not, even Jesus couldn't loan them his water. We can't do somebody's wanting for them or their believing for them. God has no grandkids, only kids. And you can't do your hurting for your kids. They have to learn their own lessons. Or you can't do somebody's dying for them either. We all have to walk that lonesome valley. Some things can't be transferred. That's what this is about. The foolish virgins typify the aggrieved and the victimized who expect somebody to do it for them. But you can get by a while like that till midnight strikes and the bell tolls and there's nobody to borrow from and it's crunch time and they come up empty because sometimes it's too late. Some things you can't borrow, and that's the gospel truth. It's a hard truth, but it's the gospel truth. Life isn't just to be lived. It has to be, if it's successful, prepared for. That's why we come to church. This story is about having the faith to see us through lean times, because those times are always going to come. And they're handled only if we prepare for it. Because what life does to us depends on what life finds in us. When hard times hit, will there be something on the inside of us to stand up to it? A whole lot of things in life do come and go. People, houses, cars, churches, kingdoms, money, kids, preachers, our pets, even presidents. Somehow we survive them all. That's what we've done so far. Everything in this life is a come and go affair except faith. That's what makes church a lifetime venture. We're never done with it. Can we ever have too much faith? Not only do we need it for the passion of youth, but also for the going both ways struggle of middle age, as well as the relentless progression of the evening of life. And we come to church in season and out of season for one reason: to refill our oil supply. And along the way, we've all known those extra oil people who, when the night grew long, were able to keep their lamps burning. The doctor said to me, I have a 50-50 chance. If I don't make it, Brother Dan, I'm ready. You know that one? God will see me through this and beyond. That's what I'm talking about, having extra oil. Wise are those who tend to their souls so they can endure what can't be avoided. Because sooner or later, the unavoidable is going to come knocking on all our doors in one way or another. We better be prepared. The foolish virgins thought of everything except the most important thing. They're ready for the groom's coming well enough, but not for his delay. They weren't ready for that. There are always contingencies, and the heavenly banquet took place without them. In our Maryland days, I was a little crazy, and I enrolled in parachuting school. I don't know why, but I've always wanted to jump out of a plane. And I wasn't in the military, so I enrolled in this class. And when you're jumping out of the plane, the one thing you want to make sure of is that your chute is properly packed. You know? They even provide, I learned, a spare that fits right here on your belly in case the main one doesn't open. Which is why I was astounded to read about a guy who jumped to his death. So caught up in filming it, he neglected to pack the canopy. What a symbol of our days. Bringing your sail, but not the chute. You know, Carole King, one of my favorite artists, and she wrote another song called It's Too Late. It's about a once close relationship that comes to an end. One of us stopped changing, she said. Or maybe we just stopped trying. You know about that. Just stop trying. For too many, that is the reality. They just quit trying. And you've never failed until you quit trying. After that, you can fail. But that's when she says, something inside has died that I can't hide. and I just can't fake it. You know that? That word fake is used a lot these days. Maybe it's a good reason for it. But some things can't be faked. If you love something, people will know it. They don't have to be convinced. They'll know it. Or the authenticity of humor. Who can fake that? A soldier falls on a hand grenade to save his buddies. You can't fake courage and stuff like that. But once something dies inside, it's unfakeable. 3 of the saddest sayings in any story Jesus told are found in this parable at the end of the first gospel. Our lamps have gone out, the door was shut, and I never knew you. Somebody trapped on the outside, that's bad enough. But not nearly as pathetic as those who are locked in a room with open doors. Self-imposed entrapment. Locked in a room with the doors open. Hear this word to the wise from the 10 bridesmaids, for God's sake and your own. Be very sure your anchor holds and you don't run out of oil. But in case you find yourself in these virgins' shoes, running low and no place to go, you're in luck. God gave us this church to fall back on, to see that somebody will be here in season and out of season, still priming the pump.